Okay, 1438, good luck. So a bit of a rating gap there. Opponent 480 games of rapid, very good. What do I want to do? I'll do the Caro as normal, it's what I normally play. I'm playing a few Sicilians as well now. Goes an ultra aggressive line. D5 is still the correct move. You can pretty much pre-move D5 in any Caro. But this is about as attacking as it gets. I'm just going to go G6, go slowly and steadily, does it? Eventually we'll develop or we'll push. Actually, I'm going to sack a pawn there, see if he takes. Just to try and break up this centre control a bit. We look to push or develop somehow, get castled somehow. Wait, so that allows check. He'll have to play knight up. Pawn up. He's actually fine, isn't he? Yeah, let's just guard the pawn. I don't mind if he takes here, but he's got knight to guard if we throw a check in. And there's no easy way to kick or to push forward. I've played quite a risky line here. And it is 10 minutes, isn't it? So I need to go at the right speed. But I think queen up must be a move now, because we hit the bishop, pressuring the pawn as well. But we're just really gently going to hit the bishop here. So I'll just see what he does. If he wants to trade, I'll go back. And then we've got a dilemma. In principle, you bring the pawn to the center, but we have given a pawn up, so it could be difficult to try and get this one back. In which case, you may be looking at knight. He's come forward, so I'm going to have to kick the bishop. He might drop back, but it's just a case of how do I take. If I bring the knight over, it kind of threatens a push, but it's not really a threat, is it? So I think I'm just going to go with the pawn, bring it to the center, and eventually try and bring the rook across if I can do. Here, I guess we just drop back, so we're a bit passive right now. Maybe pawn up. What's he looking at there? I'm going to push the pawn and try and bring the bishop into play this way. He's actually playing this terrifically well. He's playing it tremendously well, isn't he? Tremendous. I don't think he's got a sacrifice on, but I don't think bishop up is a move. I can activate the rook, but after pawn up, what on earth do I do? I might have to go here, then knight takes, pawn takes. I'm going to take a chance and go forward. It's a bit of a poor position I've stumbled into here. Okay, so he's come forward, so we can take either here. So do we want rid of the bishop to weaken the pawn? What's his idea? I'm going to get rid of the bishop, but he's playing this really tremendously well. Yeah, tremendously well. Let's play rook up. He can kick me and just drop me back. I'm just going to try and create some pressure here. But I don't think I've actually got anything. That's a problem. Maybe queen across. So he's going for a direct checkmate attack. So I've got to push, right? Have to push. Don't think I've got any other move. But he's actually hung his knight and he can go back and guard. But obviously I couldn't take the knight. It was just a checkmate threat. So as long as he just sees knight back, I mean, I was thinking, is he going to play the other knight across and try and sack, but doesn't. Let's play across and just hit the pawn. That he has got pawn down to kick the rook back, and then he can maybe advance. You don't want to push the pawn here because he'll just be able to fly forward. Wait, has he just blundered there? So that's a check. If he goes back, we can take. It'll be a rook and pawn for 2 knights. If he doesn't see that, it's just a straight knight for pawn, but we'd already lost a pawn, so it's like a knight for 2 pawns. But if he goes back, he's still probably better. Other knight forward we can take, and we still attack this knight if he plays a move like queen across. But yeah, knight back take. Knight takes, queen takes with check, and he's actually got 2 pawns, hasn't he? That's what he's seen, so I'm going to have to take and go for it. So it's a rook versus the 2 bishops, but he's got the extra pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we've got 6. We've got 6. Oh, it's just the 1 pawn. It's just the 1 pawn. I'm confusing myself. Not to worry. I'm going to attack the rook here, and he's just got to keep an eye on this one as well. And we'll try and get this rook into play if we can. Okay, so now there's a pawn, so that really... Well, is it a poison pawn, I'm wondering? If you come across here, this should be solid enough, especially if I can eventually get the bishop round, but it's not without risk, but I'm going to take it. A pawn's a pawn. Maybe we can take here and play a move like f5, but right now he can't go back because of the bishop. So taking a little bit of a gamble. Well, that's chess, risk and reward. But it does feel like I've gone a bit wrong in the opening in this game, so we'll have to see what it turns out to be in engine speak. Now, am I safe to take a pawn here and hit this rook? This pawn is guarded by the queen. You don't have rook there to attack. If you come here, I can get out the way with check and then take the rook next move. So I think I'm okay to take here. I can always drop back here as well. Am I blundering? Possibly. But we've taken another pawn. So we've now got 6 against 5. So we're now up a pawn. And 2 bishops versus the rook. Obviously, he's got to guard the mate threat as well. He can't let the queen wander off somewhere without it being a mate threat. You don't have rook here, which he's done. He's just forgot that the bishop was guarding. That's unlucky because he's outplayed me up to this point, really, hasn't he? He's played a tremendous opening. And then it's just gone a little bit wrong. Okay, so we can throw a check in. We can just take the rook. If we check, he has to go back, and then we can take the rook. And I don't see any reason not to do that. Just throw a nice check in. I mean, we might even be able to be queen up here, but there's no need to be silly, is there? He has to go back, I think. I mean, you've got technically a queen block, and we just take. That would be mate in 2 if he plays queen over. So we could maybe throw queen in here, threatening checkmate. Rook takes, and it's checkmate anyway. And if you push your pawn, it's checkmate. So that's probably the most technical move, even though there's a free rook there. It's probably technically better just to go here. But am I blundering something? I don't see it, so I'm just going to come in and go for the checkmate. Because if he takes the bishop, it's checkmate anyway. You can't push the pawns out the way. There's a mate threat here. But he's played a tremendous opening, hasn't he? Feels like I was worse out the opening, but we'll see what the engine says after the game. Yeah, he's found queen across, but we just take. And again, either pawn pushes, its checkmate next move. Rook takes, its checkmate next move. So we get the checkmate, but really good effort by my opponent, especially with the rating gap there. Let's see what it was in engine language. So I always pause so I don't accidentally start another game, so we'll just see what it was. So 31 moves. They're the move times for both players there, so let's request an analysis and just see if we were worse out of the opening. It felt like it. I played a little bit of a risky line. The opponent went for the really attacking line with f4. And we are indeed worse. We're minus 2.4. So we've not played it very well. He's played a tremendous opening, and then it's just turned. When it has turned, it's gone completely. So we played 92% versus 82%, CPL 25 and 56. My average is a bit over 30, so all in all, not bad. But on another day, you lose a game like this because we've just gone wrong in the opening. So the engine is not flagging any blunders here, but it's saying instead of the slow bishop move, I've got to play h5 to maybe guard here, and then create some threats, maybe with queen coming up, I guess, at some point. Something I should be knowing anyway, really. Then here, the simple queen up to attack the pawn first. It can be a poison pawn, this, but that's the development move instead of just sacking a pawn like I did. Just turns out to be a plain sack. It's not flagging any blunders here, though. Like I say, I was looking at queen up, but you just guard with the knight, and there's no easy, quick way to actually attack if a push the pawn here, you can just simply take it. So we're just flicking through here. But +2 here for white, playing tremendously well. Now it is +3, actually 2.9 it's given there. So -3. Yeah, hit 3.1, doesn't it? 3.1, just being completely outplayed. And then you should have actually taken here, and I was going to take back with the e-pawn. Then maybe my bishop just becomes a big giant pawn. But it's already back to 2 now. And with that move, it's back to 0.8. But I should have played h6 to kick the knight immediately, instead of taking the bishop. So that was a mistake. Then I should have developed the bishop first instead of the rook. I wanted to keep the bishop here just in case he was looking at a sacrifice, because it looks quite scary. So I just developed the rook first. And here, this time, I should have played this rook across instead of the rook here. I was aware he had this move. I was just trying to create some sort of chances, even if I waste some moves. So it's still 2.4 for white. And this is the last move where the game now turns. That's a blunder there. Right, it kind of leads to this sequence. But he grabs this pawn. So again, this move is correct here first to kick the rook, and the rook will have to come back somewhere. Then if you take, I can take the pawn, but the knight can safely go back. But it's still level. And then from this position, we've just now taken control, and we converted it quite quickly here. But you can see our pawn has played tremendously well out of the opening there. So in another day, you can convert that, and we get a loss. So really well done there.